You look fine. Look
All
very
right.
pretty.
Thank you. I shaved.
Yeah, very cutesy, as they would say. The ladies in the office would say, very cutesy.
Stop. All right. Who called this huddle, man? What are we
All
doing?
right. Yeah, no, we can jump right in here today if you guys are ready.
Let's do
Let's,
it.
let's
Cool.
go.
Action, Jeff. All right. Welcome to the High Ground Podcast. This is episode 2 with the trifecta of individuals. And today we have a great episode in line, and really going to talk about what's in the water right now for small businesses. And it's pretty much everybody's feeling it. Lots of conversations that we have on a daily and weekly and monthly basis with small businesses around the United States. And we've got issues about employees quietly checking out, leaders quietly cutting roles, AI replacing meetings, marketing, even whole functions within inside of an organization. And to top it off, tens of thousands of businesses are about to hit the market as owners just tap out with no legacy plan in place. So meanwhile, there's a group of operators who are scaling faster than ever. They're buying up the distressed businesses. They're implementing AI into their business to get their time back, and they're retaining talent while everybody else is spinning in hell, basically. And so, because what we want to offer in this podcast is specifically speaking to Main Street and speaking directly to the people that we speak so often to within our business. And so today's episode is about what's going on with culture, what's going on with AI, what's going on with all the changes that businesses are having to use or have to go through. And maybe their leadership's getting exposed by not being able to lead through these rapid changes. And today we've got the trifecta together. Joe and Todd, thanks for joining me today. We're going to break down the data, the buzz, the pressure, and the plays that are working. What's going on?
Cool.
Hey,
Who's
man, good
Joe?
to be here. Yeah. Go
No,
ahead,
who's
Todd.
who's Joe? No, that's okay. Who's Joe? What's he do? What's special about this guy? He's new.
Hey, yeah, not so new anymore. It's been about 4.5 months now. So I am the director of the sales operations here at Summit Media Solution. Have some marketing background, some background in other areas that I talked about last time, and glad to be here today. And what you are talking about, Zach, what we're talking about today is something that I just keep on seeing as I get to be interacting with clients and people who are potentially going to work with us all the time, and just hearing about these questions that it seems like are new to so many business owners, even business owners who have been doing this for 20 years. So we're seeing this big time, and even my talks with friends, right? Just hanging out with
Mm-hmm.
other guys who are leading companies, and they're talking about these exact same things. So this is big all across the industry right now. So glad to be here. Looking forward to digging into this topic in just a minute.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, to tag on to that, it's what we hope to provide is perspective for the people who are sitting in silence or don't have that broader group of people to bounce off of, their conversations with themselves. And we talk a lot. So it's a value that we're bringing is we're up against the fight, if you will, or we're in the fight and working together collaboratively. We do not have all the answers, but I think we're much further down the road than the people that we're hoping to help by bringing this pod to them. A little bit of perspective. Somebody's in your camp,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Definitely. Well, let's just jump into the first topic. And the first topic that we aim to discuss here is, culture and whether who's at fault. Is it employees? Is it leaders? Is it the broader corporate engine? Because nobody wants to admit it, but culture inside of small, medium, and large businesses is bleeding. Because according to a recent Gallup study, only 30% of employees are engaged right now. And that's a 10-year low. Burnout is up, trust is down, quiet quitting continues to wreck morale. And the question is like, are leaders, are employees, are the companies themselves the reason for that? 56% are more likely to seek new jobs, costing the company way more than their annual salary and lost productivity. And so let's just jump into that topic. I guess tee it off to Joe. Is this a leadership problem or a structure problem that employees aren't engaged?
Man, I think yes, right?
Yeah.
Yes to both. And there's so many other things. So we are navigating just a brand new time because you think about it in the lives of our parents, of our grandparents, they haven't had to walk through and haven't had the opportunity to walk through so much. And whenever we come across technological and societal change like we've gone through in the last few years, you're going to have some kind of upheaval, some kind of it isn't usually just it all lands perfectly. So think of the culture, right? Think of back to 5 years ago, almost, right? Or was it a little over 5 years ago when everybody went to working from home, and pretty quickly, what did we talk about? Oh, let's have a Zoom after hours cocktail party. And people were trying to figure out how do we make this thing work when we've been in person. We haven't even known that term. In person wasn't even a term. It was just you went to work,
Mhm.
right? And now all of a sudden people are working from home, and it has really gone topsy-turvy in terms of what does that even mean? We have some great new neighbors just moved in, both working from home. One of them loves working from home, and one of them hates it, wants to be with other people. And how do you address that as a leadership? I think leaders are trying to address it, and it's hard because there just isn't water cooler talk going on
Mhm.
anymore. And what does that look like? So I think there is real intentionality that needs to go into this, but I see a lot of leaders just don't have the bandwidth to make that intentionality right now.
Mm.
So yeah, they're trying, but it's like, well, I also have to manage the books and find new leads and fix the widget and all the other pieces that I've always had to do. And now I'm also trying to help people be engaged when I've never actually shaken their hand before because
Mhm.
they work in New Jersey and I've never met them. Right. So I think that there's a lot of that, but I definitely think there are things that we can be doing, should be doing. And I think it goes both ways. I'm talking a lot here, right? But I think it goes both ways. I think there are places where there are employees who don't want to be engaged. They're happy to not be engaged. They're happy to do the bare minimum. And there are leaders who are happy to do the bare minimum. And
Mhm.
so how when people do want to engage, when they do want to put in, when they do want to be part of a culture, how do we do that, right? For the people who want to opt in and can't. So that's my piece, and we can dive into it more, but
Yeah.
love to hear what y'all think.
Yeah. What are you hearing, Todd? Like you've probably seen the ups and downs of, you know, hired lots of people, worked with lots of people in your own company, in previous companies. Why do you think the employee engagement is at a 10-year low right now?
It's complicated, and thanks for the question. Joe, you bring up several things that just went boom, boom, boom. I mean, they were just key points that I picked up on. So in the evolution of time where I've been around 31 years, either working for somebody else and by far the majority of those things working for myself. Some it's 23 years old now, and some it's my third company actually. And so the inflection point, and I used that term in the last pod, and I've been using it a lot because it's really accurate. We're not in a curve in the road. We're at a right turn in the road or a left turn.
Hmm. Yeah.
Psychologically, Joe, I like where you rolled back. The inflection point started in 2022, or excuse me, 2020, COVID, and we went through it. I'm standing looking at the TV suddenly on one day, wondering if my business is going to be shut down of
Yeah.
20 employees. And what do you do now? I mean, this is going on like this, watching the news live and wondering, all of a sudden there was no script. Everything was up for grabs. And so at that point, most leaders, Joe, to your point, they're busy. They don't have leadership skills. They have business skills. And and so business-minded people got thrown into the leadership role where it wasn't about this is what we do and this is how we function to make, provide our services or products. All of a sudden, we're psychologists. All of
Hmm.
our systems have been dumped out. It's like marbles on a table. And so where I was sitting, it was marbles on the table. Which one do you grab? I've got two hands, and who do I give them to? So there was no script. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Now, psychologically, I'll shift to this, right? Point made there. It was very disturbing. Okay, but you've got to lead. Again, not pointing fingers at anybody. What happened is I know how to run a business, but I don't know how to be a leader, is what happened to small business. On
Hmm.
the other end of the stick, the people who are looking to, for direction and their day to day, their cheese was moved too. There's massive disruption, and they're saying, "Hey, what do I do now? Somebody tell me." So in the leadership role, you have nobody. In the following employee role, it's what do I do next? And I remember guys looking at, and I don't want to hang too much in this point, it was so profound, showing up 10 days later with a mask on my face because fortunately we had been deemed as an essential company. I've got a mask on my face. Last time I stood in front of these people, we were talking about the weekends and the work that needs to be done. And now I've got a mask. We're all 15 feet apart. It was bizarre. Nobody's talking. It was quiet. And we really are just beginning to form, a plan. And that's suddenly everybody go home.
Hmm.
And that's one big piece operationally. I'll let you stitch together the rest of those. But then the next one is we all want, as human beings, we all want autonomy, but we don't know how to self-direct very well when there's not a script and our history has been changed. Our rhythm is completely gone. And so, boy, does that mess with us as human beings. Right? And then you have broken communication on top of that. So it was deeply fragmented. I still think that we're healing from that. It was Zoom overnight. How do you do this? I mean, I need a login, right, to figure out how to do this thing. And on top of this, all the psychological impact is the business has really had a heart attack, if you will, operationally.
Hmm.
Okay, you pause for effect with that, but no wonder people are quietly quitting and then enabled through subsidies, if you will, or the whole disengagement factor, as you mentioned, Joe, is spot on. Some people are going, this is great, and I know how to operate. One of our four values, our core values, etched in glass in our entry is empowerment. What I found in that time is we love to be empowered, but we don't know how to manage ourselves. Like we're given the keys to the car, but we don't know how to drive. Would you do that with your 12-year-old?
Hmm.
Probably
Hmm.
not. But that's exactly what happened to us. And there's still a fallout from that.
Yeah. So Joe and
Huge.
Todd, like you guys are making the point that there's like a systematic change that was thrown at us. I mean, COVID was 2020. I mean, we're 5 years removed. I mean,
Yeah.
and we're here in Missouri, and
Yep.
I mean, I sometimes question, did COVID even happen?
It's real.
Like I'm not a COVID denier, but
Nope.
man, like we got back to work very quickly. Towns that we live in kind of were like, we're not really going to mask up, the mask over like over the mouth, not over the nose. I mean, we're in a different part of the world um than some of the more like high stakes areas like LA and New York or these heavily populated areas. But I mean, we're 5 years removed. This is a 2025 Gallup poll is saying 30% of employees globally feel engaged at work.
Yeah.
Only 30%. I mean, are we really going to say that COVID was the catalyst to this or what's going on today?
Well, I think a lot of
Good question.
businesses have built new rhythms and new cultures, right? Everybody has. Because a lot of businesses said, okay, go home for a while. Actually, let's just stay home now. There are real benefits and there are pros and cons, right? And there are businesses that said, hey, we want to go back into in-person work. And the employee said, no, we don't want that. You do that, look for a new employee. And so a lot of businesses stayed that way, stayed operating that way, but that didn't solve the problem of the culture piece, right? It solved the problems of, hey, I can pull my clothes out of the dryer before they get all wrinkly. It saved I can let the dog out so that he doesn't get too much anxiety or pee on the carpet, but it didn't solve the problem of how do we build culture at work. So I think some businesses worked really hard and usually they experimented and they failed trying to do these online parties that were duds in the most
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. And then and so they tried, but some figured it out and they figured it really well. And they have figured out, hey, how do we keep in touch throughout the day? How do we still be a part of people's lives? Going back to work hybrid and using those hybrid days to really be touch points where people can enjoy one another and where they can talk about culture and be forthright with it. But uh, so I think here in Kearney, Missouri, it's a little bit different of a situation than a lot of places. Like you mentioned, I lived in Chicago when the whole COVID thing first happened. And I mean, people were not seeing each other for months. And then it's just kind of gone on. So I think that that's part of it. And then I think some of the other things that I know we're going to talk about today, AI has just disrupted and people are sitting there wondering, what does this mean for my future? Right. I'm sitting here as a father of high schooler and middle schoolers wondering, what does this mean for their future? Do
Mm-hmm.
we send them to college? Do we send them to trade school? Do we do something completely different with them? So how do we set
Yeah.
that up? So I think all of this and just even the lack of boundaries. I when I used to come home from work, I'd work, I'd drive home. Driving home was a few minutes of defrag time, and then I'd get into the driveway. I had young kids before the whole COVID thing. Take a deep breath. Okay, time to go in and be a family man right now. And you had that transition time
Mm.
as soon as COVID started and I started working from home, it was I shut the computer and my wife heard me shut the computer and reminded me that dishes need to be done, right? Right away. And I think that that kind of thing, there's no boundaries. Everything just blends together now for so many of us. We're talking about 30%. So that's 70% are disengaged. And I wonder what the
Mm-hmm.
numbers are, the breakdown of people who are doing that. And that's not everything. People who are in office all the time, they're struggling with culture too. So
Yeah.
I
So
think
why
there's
are
a lot
people
here.
disengaging? I mean, it makes me think of the original topic or the question is, why are people disengaging? And
Yeah.
it's not easy. There's several things, but what are the big chunks that go, that's what I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, for the business owners that that are listening to this right now, and maybe they're asking themselves questions like, man, yeah, I've got a few people on on my payroll that are disengaged. You know, what are the things that you think, Todd, um, get people reinvigorated, reengaged at work? Like what are the tactical things that you believe to be true to flip this number in the next few years? I
You
mean,
know what? Thanks, buddy. I'm going to flip this right back to you. How many people do you oversee, lead directly? 9,
10.
10? And then indirectly, you work very closely with the sales org, right? And the admin team. And Joe, don't you as well? So you guys, I'd be interested to hand you the microphone and say, hey, what are you seeing? What do you think? And I'll just book in the back.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm 28. I feel like I've got a lot of friends that are in my age. I've been very fortunate in my position to kind of have figured out some of these life events. I think like just traditional life events, not having housing, paying like 14, 15, $1,600 a month for rent, and then clocking into a 9 to 5 job that, you know, is overworking you, wages haven't increased, everything's going up. I think from a systematic sense, people are just like, eh, what's the point? What's the point for me to go do all of this? I'm collecting a paycheck. I hate what I do. I clock out. Wife says I got to do dishes. Hate doing that. So I think that all culminates into the disengagement. And for businesses, I feel like it just comes to a lack of growth opportunities and clarity. Like, I think when, I was growing up and at that point, there was still I think there was still value in what people would say of like, go find a good place to work your butt off, and climb the corporate ladder.
Mhm.
And I don't know if, especially for small businesses, if leadership or people that are running the businesses have identified what that ladder structure truly is. Like, what is the goalpost that I'm working towards every day? Right. And it's much more than just like more money. I mean, that comes with more responsibility as well. But I think it starts with that. If it were me, trying to solve this employee disengagement thing, is like, what's the growth opportunity look like? What's the ladder? I do this, I continue to do this, and I can get this promotion. And I think that we've gone away from promoting people internally. I think we've gotten to a point where businesses start hiring outside of their organization for key roles, um, that maybe somebody is getting passed over inside, which doesn't really help. And so, lack of growth opportunities would be something that I think should be fixed in all businesses, even a 5-person business. Like,
Mhm.
there has to be some sort of growth for the lowest man on the totem pole to aspire to work towards.
Yeah. Something else, I think that's a great point, right? That people need to know what they're working towards. What's that North Star? What's
Mhm.
the goal here for me, for our company? Where does our company fit in? And I also think that it can be really easy the further that we get away from the front line to forget what we're doing this for. What's the purpose? For me leading the sales org of our company, we're all interacting with people all the time. We have a sales call with somebody, we're having this conversation, and we're hearing about the pain points in their life. And it isn't just people up in a glass tower deciding, or an ivory tower deciding how everything should go for their company and just saying, yes, we want a website because we need a website. We need marketing. It's real people with families who are struggling to make sure that their employees have enough work to do, who are struggling to figure out, hey, how do we get these leads in that actually pay the bills? And it isn't all, Todd, you can attest to this as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Being a business owner isn't all giggles, right? It's hard times. And so for us in the sales role in that seat, we get to actually interact and see, wow, the work that we're doing really matters and really makes a difference. But sometimes there are people, even within our own org, who, if we're not intentional about it, can be all day sitting working on spreadsheets and forget, what's the purpose? Why am I doing this? What is the good that we're contributing to society right now? And I can see that being something that really is disengaging as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say, just to tag onto that real quick, is climbing the corporate ladder, or having a North Star is one piece of it. Inspiring passion, right? And so I think in the 10 people that I lead, is in being a smaller company, maybe there isn't necessarily a quote unquote path. What we've done to backfill that is passion. People are sitting in spreadsheets all day. I mean, how many people want to do that? I mean, we're talking, there's only a few people in the world that get jazzed up about Excel sheets and spreadsheets. Um, maybe as high as 10% out of the total workforce would love to do that every day.
I'm in the
Right.
bottom two. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's 10.
And so, yeah, you have to inspire through passion and align people. And we do a lot of that internally. Is like, man, you're hired for this role. You're just simply not good at it, or you're really good over here. How can I, as a leader, position you to work 80% passion, 20% on everything else? I say it all the time. Zookeepers have to scoop the poop, but they do the job because they get to play with the animals. Right. And so if
Wow.
businesses can start aligning to their employees' passions at a higher rate than just this job needs to get done, people become more engaged. We see it. I see it every single day. And it's what I start my one-on-ones, my monthly one-on-ones with the team. What are you doing that you hate? And what do you wish you could do more of? And then we work diligently to try to skew the alignment. And it's been very clear. It's like, I've got to get you to do this. What I can do is I can try to make it less painful for you to do. And that's just caring for them because you need them to want to come to work and not have the 9 to 5. So how do you flip the script and just do something drastically different? And I think it's aligning with people's passion.
You got it. I want to say a lot with fewer words these days. You guys, we have it. We burnout was one of the words, right? In the script or when we were preparing for this is how, people burn out when they're not participating in something that they deem as worthwhile. And again, the human nature is if I'm involved in something that is worthwhile, and that's generally the person on your left and the right seeing you and you working in some sort of collaborative effort towards the North Star. And it might be a little star, a little one. Maybe it's not the North Star, but it's a star. You know where you're navigating to and why you're going there. So the first thing is we're seen. I'm affirmed. There is a need, and I'm part of this collaborative effort of this group of people, and we're doing this piece of the puzzle, the giant, right, on building our ship. Yeah, it makes me
Mhm.
think of Elon, right? He's killing it so well with SpaceX. Is people want to go work because it's the cause, right? They're just applying. They may not even have a job that they're applying for. They want to be part of something. So the key is engaging in the system where I said there's an absence of leadership, there's an absence of knowledge of leadership at some point, or with most people by far. That's the thing. I'm so busy being a firefighter. I don't have time to learn now to lead and understand really what we're talking about is the psychology of the people that are working for us. And, I've said for years, you don't work for me, you work for you. That plays into what you guys are saying, but they can hear those words, but it may never really touch you in a way that you're willing to take responsibility for your part in the mission,
Mhm.
right? So burnout was one. What was the other one? Burnout. I really jumped on that one. The other one
Yeah.
was trust. I think that comes in part of what we're talking about. Is when people begin to when they're affirmed and you've got consistency in a routine. This is what I'm back to. If only 30% of the workforce is engaged, let's say the other 75 or 70% that are still on payroll are not doing adequate levels of work, quality of work, because they don't see the mission or they're not engaged,
Mhm.
right, in the mission, is how do we engage those people and give them opportunities to become part of that? Because at Summit, this has been a 4 5 year mission now. And it started with me. I used to run the meetings until somebody said, Your meetings are terrible. And it's because I was talking at everybody. And I didn't know. I think of providing wealth of information. And I gave the
Mhm.
meetings up to everybody else, and they were a little bit wonky. Now you guys run all the meetings, and we've got great participation in every seat.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, I'm sitting here going, okay, if we're 18 or 20 people strong, how many people are buying into the mission? I would say this the majority of time, the majority of people
Mhm.
have done the work.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
you've got something, it's called momentum, right? And now it's about how can we get in that sweet spot? Well, it's by helping everybody that's working with us to be in their sweet spot, Zach, that you were talking about. Notice we're not talking, again, anything about the business. We're talking about the psychology of the culture of the business. And I can honestly say I'm blessed to say this, humbled by to say this. When the COVID deal went down, the number one asset of the people, of hearts and or the of any company, are the hearts and the mind of the people, and that hit my head. It sure didn't mean that I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And you guys now are fostering the development of that. You guys inspire me by the way you go about it. Now we're a three-shoulder force to this dynamic of hearts and minds of the people, which is the talent. And what comes to mind is the practical part of this. If 70% of the workforce of a small business is not fully engaged, they're all bleeding out money to some degree. And I'm not talking about perfection. And we, like I said, we have the philosophy in our company that you're the boss. What tools do you need? How do I support you in that? And that's taken really years
Hmm.
to develop. And this may sound cold, but there's a practical aspect of it is what then happens to the economies of the efficiency and the quality of the work. Businesses bleed out when time is stolen, and that's whether an employee is engaged or not engaged. When we're not, we're bleeding out. So whether we're
Yeah.
in the office or not in the office, right?
Yeah. It
How
just
do
narrows
we?
down to control the controllables, right? It's like you can't, nobody could had any control over COVID and that. But today,
Yeah,
if you're listening to this and you hear this stat that only 70% of your workforce is unengaged at work. I heard a stat that it was something like 3 times the employee's salary is what it costs a business when an employee leaves, right? And then there's bleeding cost from somebody not
at least.
doing their job to the quality that the company wants, or just doing lackluster work, just clocking in, taking a paycheck. There's quiet quitting, just kind of being there to fill the seat to collect the paycheck. And I think it's everything that you guys said. The Gallup study that we mentioned about engagement will kind of roll us into the next topic that we aim to discuss here today, is all the changes that are happening. Like, I mean,
Mm,
we experience it every day that there are just rapid changes that we need to do to become better. There's market pressures that require us to have changes. There's this thing, I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but artificial intelligence, AI, is kind of here.
yeah.
It's interesting. We have another topic a little bit on that. But all of these pressures that are coming down to small businesses, leadership within your organization and leading through the chaos,
Mm.
how important do you guys think that is? And what are some of the things that you guys would say in your leadership position? Like, what's one thing that you would tell to leaders listening to this, or businesses, to lead through this chaos that is amongst every business? Nobody is safe from this.
Have you ever? Are you familiar with Ernest Shackleton?
Yes.
The
Not me.
endurance. So Ernest Shackleton was like a 19th century explorer from England, and he wanted to go down and be the first one to reach the South Pole. So uh, he took a group of people down to the South Pole. Incredible journey. Never actually reached the South Pole, but incredible story. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But there's this job ad that he put out, and I pulled it up here because I was thinking about this. And they put this out. This was what 120 years ago or something. They put this
Yeah.
out, and the job ad said, "Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return, doubtful, honor and recognition in event of success."
Wow.
And then it just gave the address.
Great
And
reference.
they say that the line of applicants, of sailors, of people from all classes in society, it wrapped around the block for the jobs they're hiring, because people said, I I want that. I know this guy knows what he's doing. He knows the journey he's on. And I think that our employees need to hear that too. The people under our care need to hear, hey, do we know where we're going? What is the plan? And the thing that I keep on saying to my team about AI, and some of them are like light years ahead of me, right? But the thing that I'm saying is it is scary right now. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be Terminator coming out and trying to Skynet, trying to shut us all down, or if it's going to be the greatest time in human history. We keep on hearing that people are going to lose jobs, that the workforce is going to be really different. But would you rather put your head in the sand and hope that things are going to be okay? Or do you want to be at the cutting edge of that? We want to be at the cutting edge of that. We want to be on the front And we want to exploit every opportunity that we have that is developed by this instead of just like hoping things work out for us. So I think that that is something big as we look at, hey, what is the chaos right now? What's going to happen? Hey, we're not sure, but we're going to try and stay ahead of the wave so that we get caught last. I mean, I'm sure you've heard before the story about, if a bear comes to attack your group, you don't need to be faster than the bear. You just need to be faster than the guy behind you. And I think that to some degree that's the truth too with the technology and the chaos that's happening now. Hey, we're staying ahead of this thing. We're going to be at the cutting edge here. And I know that's what we're doing here at Summit. It's one of the great things that I love about Summit.
Yeah, your Shackleton reference and the bear, I can't follow that. They were spot on. They really are. I'm sitting here, I'm like, Shackleton, yeah, yep. It was 100 and some odd men. I saw the documentary. The ship got icebound, broken up, by the ice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they all made it back.
No spoilers, Hageman. I told Zach I wasn't going to spoil it for him.
Okay.
Yeah, they all made it back. They all made
Yeah.
it back. It's incredible.
We're gonna have to get Jeff to put a big spoiler alert on the screen so everybody can
leave me out,
pause
man.
it. Yeah.
It is a 120-year-old story though, Zach. So great
Sorry.
book, The Endurance. It's awesome.
Todd was like 5 years old back then. Of course he heard.
Man, why do we do this thing?
No, I think that's great.
Why
I think
is
that's a
it-
great story of like you need to establish a clear vision and course of action with I mean, it's just transparent. Like we may not make it back. You may die. This is
Yeah.
going to be cold and this is going to be hard. And I think establishing the clear vision, the transparent, consistent communication through the ad, and finding the right people that are willing to take that risk is really powerful today. While AI, I don't think you're going to die, or maybe not until it takes over. But I think that resonates with our current course of action. I mean, Todd, what are you thinking about leading through change? I mean, Joe kind of took that angle. Is there anything else that you would add about leading through change?
Yeah, thank you very much. It just what triggers in my mind is, we built a $5.3 million debt-free print yellow page business, and that went very well and ran to 53 employees until a disruptor. We talk about control the controllables. That didn't have anything to do with the internet. And but you sit down and start. Part of it's just how you're wired. Some people are going to freak out, put their head in the sand. Most people will and deny what's going on around. Right, their heads in the sand, and they're going to be defensive. And I think that's self-imposed. And there's a group of people that will look for advice and turn into the wind. And your loved ones are with you, and so it is a burn the boats a metaphor, and there's no map. It's the one that you're trying to win the day, win the moment. So without going too deep on that there's a lot. I think disposition is one, and then doing the work is just in the determination, taking responsibility for those who are in your care. Joe, you use the word, we use that around Summit a lot. I'm going to take responsibility for the man and the woman on the left, certainly for my 3 kids. You guys, your kiddos at home, and your loved ones, your wife. And I'm going to do this thing. And it didn't mean that you have a map. It means that you have the heart and the determination to tackle it. Now it goes back to full cycle. What am I part of? Who am I with? Which is, who are my resources? They really are. And then, do we get on the same team? So I'd like to unpack one thing. It's a big one. Trust. Trust, 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 trust. Right? Do you think that Shackleton's people trusted him? Probably not when they did the ad. That something appealed to them, but as full disclosure, how long before though do you think they were with him before they started believing in him and having trust? So it queued me up to prep a little bit for what we're talking here. And I've spoken to this, and we've implemented this in our company before, certain initiatives around trust. Dr. Henry Cloud is a brilliant man. I'd invite you to go, look him up. So I won't go through all of his credentials. I
He's
didn't
awesome.
actually
Yeah.
organize them. 45 books, 20 million copies. Works largely with large corporations and mid-sized companies, CEOs and leadership teams. In 1987, he built a healthcare company and sold that. He's done several of those, from what I understand. He's majors and focuses in psychology and neurobiology. So why do people do what we do? When we don't know why we do what we do, that's neurobiology, right? And so without getting into that, trust is the number one linchpin piece. So I'd like to layer this, give this to everybody to think about. When a human being is born, what's the number one thing that we need to survive? And that's to be seen, to be heard. Now, I have a son that was adopted from Russia. He was 18 months old. He was a little kid over in the corner, call it 40, 50 kids, that none of them had too much. I mean, they slept in boxes. This is at the base of the Ural Mountains in Siberia, just on the other, or in Russia, just on the other side of Siberia. So there was nothing extra, including daylight.
Mm.
But the point is those kids who were not seen became animalistic. So as human beings, right, we're as far from trust as we can be. But when we're seen first and we're nurtured, that's I see you, I see you, I see you. It doesn't mean I'm feeding you perfect food. It means I'm feeding attention. I see you. Now you start layering in, then what are we doing? The safety was the other one, fight or flight, right? But the number one thing was, even before fight or flight, was I need to be seen. So in our world, the context of what we're talking about has got this culture, these people that work for me until they learn or really begin to adopt that work. I'm working for myself and I have a team behind me and people who believe in me and see me and care in me. So you can climb mountains. You can be Shackleton. You can deal with AI. You can deal with the situations of the unknown of going, wow, the business is really going great until it didn't. A storm cloud came over us. You got to see your people first.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't layer trust on to the North Star, I'm giving the pieces of the puzzle right here that's working for us. And boy, do we have work to do. We will not, we won't back off of this because it's really do or die.
Yeah.
Right? One is to exist and the other one is to thrive. We choose to be fulfilled and thrive. Right? So trust. Henry Cloud says understanding. So do I see you, Joe? Do I see you, Zach? Do you guys communicate with the people that are in your care, in your direct care underneath? I see you as the first one. And the second one is, do they feel understood? That's empathy. Massive words here. Trust, empathy, affirmation, right? And we start building this narrative. Yeah, these people get me. I trust Joe. He said something, and then he started doing it consistently where he sees me, and now we're coming together as people.
Mm-hmm.
The work of monetizing the business now is really secondary, like Shackleton. That was a perfect analogy. It's not about the work, it's about the mission. And we can do this together. So now I'm more with you guys than I am by myself. And look in every direction and organization, right? So the first one is understanding. Do we understand each other? The second one is motive. Do you line up with my values? Or do we have shared values, is a better way to put it? Big deal. Could go on and on about that. Ability. Can you execute? If I'm going to trust you, I'm looking at going, Zach, Joe, you're pretty inconsistent. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or you might say that about me or anybody on your left or right. And that's certainly the way that they're looking us in leadership. Microscopes on each of us, and everybody that's running their business or managing at a high level. So do they have the ability to execute? The other one is character. Morality, integrity, do our values align? Could go on and on. That's a big one. And then do you have a track record of showing up? Successes. And in our case, I think we do. And what we've learned to do, maybe this is a good way to segue around, is we meet weekly, we meet frequently, we look at each other, we're fighting to communicate. We're really, really putting the work into how do we communicate and
Mm-hmm.
what do we communicate to the things that matter most today for our hopeful tomorrow, not a year from now, for our hopeful tomorrow. Are we making progress? So
Yeah.
that was a lot, but that's my quick download. I hope there's some, meat on that for anybody that's listening. But I'd invite you guys to riff on that, correct, or yeah, man, whatever you heard.
Yeah, no, I think it was great. I think it was makes a lot of sense. I mean, you got to have those foundational pieces to lead through change, and change is here, and change is going to continue to happen.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be something that happens after AI. There's going to be, hopefully not, but there could be another COVID situation. I mean, it's inevitable. The seat that you put on. I think the what you started to lean into, and I'll read the statistic. Gardner said that 68% of managers have reported that they've been overwhelmed. And then in lack of business, and we have a pretty robust leadership team for our within our company. We have 5 people on the leadership team, and then we have and they're kind of setting the pace. And what I heard you say is you got to have trust in your leaders. And that Gardner statistic said that if you don't have the 5 additional people and you're the business owner and you're trying to do everything on your end and you don't have somebody else that you can rely on to communicate to your other employees, I mean, you yourself are going to become burnt out.
Talk
And
about burnout is what I'm sitting here thinking. That's got
your
burnout and
ability to lead those people
yeah.
is less. So I think for us as a company, we've worked really hard to establishing the leadership, uh, maintaining clarity in roles. We have so much trust in one another at the leadership level that it trickles down to the rest of the people. And then what happens is it starts to trickle up. It trickles up to the leadership where I can lean on somebody on my team, and because I have trust in them and then in their empowerment, and they come to me. But I can only sit here to imagine what other business owners are going through when they're the top. They're it. Every problem, every issue, every client thing escalates to them. And so that's kind of what I heard is find somebody in your organization that you can build trust with and that can be kind of a filter so that you can focus on the business rather than everything else that's on your plate.
Yeah, Zach, I throw this out to you. Is most people conceptually they go, yeah, I want to be trusted. I think I'm worthy of that, and I can be trusted, and I want to be able to trust you. But we'll never do the work to understand that it's actually a skill. We need to be very aware, and I've done a lot of work on trust. And when how well do I do? Am I trustworthy? So I'm swing back around. You have to have two willing participants.
Yeah.
You, you really do. And it's really easy once you start going, and getting some insights to these variables, going, you're not trustworthy. You may be nice. You might be, all right, good to have a hamburger and a beer with, but you're just not trustworthy. Those would be people you can go to the Chiefs football game with, but you can't build a life around them.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that that's probably Todd and I and Joe, we've had lots of conversations about trust as we talk about leading the company through the chaos and everything.
Yeah.
And my contrarian view on trust as a whole is like, how big does your ego have to be to say something as crazy as they have to earn my trust? I think that's like my biggest red flag when I talk to somebody is if they're like, these people have to earn my trust. You get zero trust. And I think that's the wrong way to lead people. When people come into the organization, at least under me, is you have 100% of my trust
Yeah.
right from the get go. Everything. I trust you implicably. People like to be like, oh, well, I don't trust them with my life and try to create all these weird nuances that blur the lines. But I found real opportunity by giving trust up front and saying, here you go. Then, if there's certain situations, they'll start to degrade a little bit. But most people will say that trust is so hard to gain and they go nowhere. They can't lead anybody. So uh, that's my contrarian view. That's my hot take. I think you should lead with your trust and you should give it implicably 100% to everybody that you come in contact to rather than making them earn it. Because who are you to make somebody else earn it? Why do they want your trust? Ego
Yeah.
play. So,
Joe, I can't wait to hear you, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah, good
probably
stuff.
that is kind of contrarian to how I think, Zach. I mean, I think that there's a lot there. Um, to work with. But I think in terms of the trust, I think that you can lend trust and see how somebody does with that, right? And trust
Mhm.
is hard built and easily lost. So I think, for me, when we hire somebody, right, we're looking right now for uh, two new media consultants here at Summit, and look to hire people, and there are people I'm reading their applications, and I don't trust the stuff that they're saying on there. It doesn't, right? There are just little yellow flags that you get. The people who we hire, we extend invitations to join our team. Those are going to be people that I have a level of trust for because there's something that speaks to them, right? And then continue to extend trust until they burn it. And then it's going to be uh, a process of building that back or having some difficult discussions. But I think if you're always if you're always cynical, and this is what I think that you're saying, Zach, is if you're cynical of people that you hire, right? If you're cynical of your friends, if you're thinking that they're always going to disappoint you, if you can't trust them, that's no way
Mhm.
to live. And that is going to be, it's impossible because you're going to be looking for people to fail. One of my favorite books, Todd, I've recommended to you a bunch of times, is Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. If you're listening to this, if you've never heard of that book before, if you've never read it, write it down. Stop listening to this podcast and just listen to read that book because it's better than anything that three of our mouths will say today. But it is so good. It's about 90 pages, 110 pages or something like that. It's told as a story, but just speaks so much to trust and how when we don't trust somebody, we're going to see them do things wrong. Like it's impossible. We're going to build narratives that make even the right thing that they're doing the wrong thing in our mind.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Um, I probably am a little bit more wary to begin with, and I told Todd that before too. I'm a little bit more wary to begin with. I grew up in New York. There are lots of people looking to rob you in New York, right? So
That's
you
my understanding of New York
gotta,
is you lend things. You don't, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta have your radar up. So yeah, but good point though.
Yeah. No, I think those are the big things that, Todd hit on. And, I agree. Like, I'm not going to trust somebody off the street to protect me with my life, right? So there's like various nuances. And I think you have a great point on hiring and making sure that when you do hire somebody in, they have gained some effective trust. Um, but then it sounded like you relinquish a lot of that at that point, that you already have this innate amount of trust in them to um, be good. So, um, yeah, I mean, leading through change is tough. It's going to be inevitable.
Right.
But let's talk about our last topic for this podcast to round out the segment is the elephant in the room, right? AI. That has been a really big driver of changes in the conversations we're having with small businesses. For our business, I mean, I don't think that any one of us or anybody in our company can escape talking about AI. And a Forbes article talked about 91% of small businesses are using AI, are seeing revenue gains. But Inc. reports that most are still just testing it, not deploying it. So here's the question: why are so many businesses stuck in dabble mode while others are scaling like crazy?
So let me set the table and ask what the question is to really laser this in. We're talking primarily about small business, so
Yep.
under 50 employees, let's say under a certain several million dollars, right? Smaller um, number of employees, right? So just want to
Yeah,
contextualize
sure.
that a little bit. And we, uh, I queued on that when you said corporate ladder. And I'm like, we're never going to be corporate ladder. And I've decidedly not. I did contract work for AT&T for years and years and years, and those guys couldn't get out of their own way, right? Good people along the way, but were they were silos. So AI for us, and we'll be talking about this, AI is inescapable. We wouldn't be handling our responsibilities and trying to help people if we didn't talk about AI, and it's so big. It is that left turn in our lives. How do we integrate is what I think I'm hearing in small business with all these things going on. How do I integrate something new that I really don't understand, and what's the impact on my business going to be? Is that a good tee up?
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean, people are using it, but they're they're maybe not. They're just dabbling. They're in dabble mode. I'm gonna like plug something into ChatGPT. And so I guess there's a little bit of you walk up onto the street and we're having conversations with businesses, and we're like, hey, you heard of AI? Are you using AI? Like, yeah, I use AI all the time. And it's like, oh, you have it write your emails? It's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, okay, you're kind of dabbling in AI.
Yeah.
You're really not
Totally
doing
dabbling.
anything of substance that's going to drastically change your business. And so there's kind of this like fog that businesses are working through of I'm using AI in my business. And after some conversations, you're not really using it at all. You're using ChatGPT to write some emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to ask friends now if they're using AI and how they're using AI, and that's a lot of it. That's almost everybody that I talk to. A lot of times they are using a free version of ChatGPT. That's it.
Mhm.
And that is dangerous to begin with because a lot of times they have no idea that they're putting their sensitive information out there on the internet, but they're trying and they're getting it, but they have no idea of the agentic uses of AI and how we
No.
we're starting to use basically AI employees to help our employees go further faster and what that looks like. How do we all get on the same page about that? How are we all using it? How does that answer questions? How does that save time for everybody? And we're really even me, I'm just scratching the surface of how this works. But the automations, the things that it's able to do, where it really I feel like the limit is my ability to realize and articulate what my processes are. Right.
Mhm.
To say, okay, well, when this thing happens, here are the choices that I need to make. Here are the inferences that I need to make. Here's the next step in that. And then when I can figure that out, when I can put the more of my thought that goes into AI, the more that it's actually going to be helpful, not just a cool buzzword that writes some emails that's semi clearer than what I would have written by myself.
Mhm.
Joe, what we are seeing, you and I primarily, we're out front and having conversations, most of the conversations with our clients. Zach, that does not exempt you at all. I know that you've got several that you work with as well. What we find with what I'm seeing in conversation, we can introduce the concept of what AI, a certain competency or an aspect of AI might mean to their business, but man, that's about it, right? And so we're talking all the time about how do we develop certain AI competencies for small businesses that are easy to adopt, but we've already developed them to a degree that makes them more high functioning, right?
Mhm.
So this is really good. People are hearing about AI, and we're dabbling. It's like walking by somebody else taking a shower and you get a little water on you and you think you're clean. They're not adopting by using ChatGPT for emails, right? Let's
Mhm.
I don't know. That was a pretty good analogy right there. But the
Well, I don't usually walk right next to people who are taking showers, Todd.
it what comes over the
I
top.
don't know about you.
Don't
Yeah,
you go
still,
where I'm
still
going
not a
now,
thing
but
I often do. Maybe the gym. You go to the gym a
there's a
lot more than I
curtain
do.
that came over the top,
Okay,
and
okay.
I don't have a hat
Let's
on.
dig further into this one. Okay.
Now I'm defending. Yeah, I wish I could, Jeff, just blank me out and then bring me back. Just make this black and then bring me
Keep it
back.
in, Jeff.
You guys might say just cut him for the rest of the whole darn thing. But the point was, I kind of lost my point, but getting back to it is,
Sorry.
um, Zach, you sent this out in not what would be our scripts, but what we're going to cover today. And I'm going to use the term using AI to get back time. That's a core value proposition for a business. we talked about transversely as 70% of the people are not engaging and yet they're drawing payroll. That's the opposite of efficiency. So what we're doing and what is exciting, and we're this is not a sell promo or plug, is we're building the capabilities to help small business understand so they don't need to how to become AI competent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a great IT. We've got a great team. I was going to say nobody, but that's not true. We've got a great tech provider. We have a long-standing tenured relationship. They're highly competent. We have a competent internal team, but we started off, Zach, a year and a half ago with you and I meeting saying, what do we talk about? What questions do we ask? And I think that's good. That's where most people are. Now they've seen, AI go by. They're touching it a little bit, but that is not a competency,
Yeah.
right? I started using a browser when the internet came up. How about you guys? That doesn't mean I'm an expert at it. So, what am I saying? There is a short path. One of the most confounding things, and I think barriers between small business adopting AI is first find somebody that you can trust that are qualified and they're competent to have conversations with you that are responsible to then begin to integrate on the simplest level a competency into your business. Watch this, that helps you build back time or get back time. Those are gained efficiencies.
Yeah.
So
I
in the
think that's the
business,
dabble. That's the dabble
the
part, right? They got like this tool over here that might be doing certain function. Maybe it saves them a micro amount of time. They have this other AI system over here. I think where we've seen the real time savings. I mean, we're talking, and it compounds so quickly. 5 minutes a day times 10 employees times forever. I mean, that's hours of time that you're getting back, and it just compounds. But the dabbling is you have just one little piece over here. You haven't connected it to this other piece and this piece.
it's
You don't have
not.
the AI system, which is really where you see these massive efficiency gains and where, the article talks about generate revenue, increase top line by decreasing bottom line, right? And so operational efficiency is key.
So to that point right there, I'm gonna interject real quick. That's key. In a business, most small businesses will run whatever margins. I mean, this is really good, good to hear. They'll generate whatever margins. Let's say it's a home service related business, and let's use a benchmark of an assumption of 50% gross profit. You can run on that. That creates your cash flow. A business at the end of the year may net, generally, may net, unless they choose to do otherwise and expense certain things, right? 10%, 9 to 12%. When you can gain efficiencies of time and you increase productivity, your bottom line, I'm assuming right now, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with our numbers. I'm looking for a 2 to 3, maybe as high as 5% gain in our net profit by the end of the year, and we increased productivity or sales. So
Mhm.
what we're really looking for is how do we create additional revenues, but how do we not spend so much money to do it? Because people are in business not to generate a bunch of money and churn through it and burn through it. It's what we can use, right, as that growth capital called net profit, and it's tied directly to gained efficiencies. Back to you.
Yeah. I mean, we're implementing AI on a daily basis into multiple small businesses. And the big differentiator is a string of AI tools that create
Well,
a system of execution and marketing and produce compounding operational efficiencies. So 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 40 minutes and so on and so forth of time saved consistently every day.
yeah.
And we're allowed to do more with less. I mean, quick story on a client, they're paying, I want to say something like $40,000 for a after hours answering service company. So basically a full-time employee that's remote, that knows very little about their business, that doesn't care when calls come in, answers the phone with food in their mouth. True story, not us saying it. The client telling us. They're answering the phone with food in their mouth, and it's affecting our brand. I'm paying $40,000 a year for that. Enter AI that can be completely trained about their business, answer the phone correctly with high intent, high engagement, answer all the questions that has a true understanding of the business, represents the business, and sounds like a real person for, I don't know, 20%, 10%
I'll say.
the cost.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is going to continue to lower and go down. And they'd pay that. I'm frankly, they're going to be saving $30,000 a year.
Yep.
Roundabout.
Safely. Which, by the way, let me make my point on this, is a 10% net profit means they're saving that 30,000 is $300,000 of top line revenue that they don't have to generate, or the profits will flow to the bottom line. Massive. Well, how many times does a small business want to, put things like this into effect? Then you start looking around going, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? And the answer is generally yes.
I think oh, sorry, Todd.
No, you're good. Go.
I think the piece that causes a lot of people to dabble, though, is to a degree procrastination. Remember reading an article years ago that was talking about, it asked how many emails you get. They're just spam emails. You get them every day or every week. You just hit delete, or you just go right past them. And when it would be easier to go in and hit unsubscribe, but not in the short term. In the short term, it's easier just to hit delete on that email. But the net effect of taking, what does it take, 3 minutes for an unsubscribe, maybe 1 minute for an unsubscribe, go in, hit that, and do unsubscribe, and then you don't have to worry about that one anymore. I think it's the same, but on a bigger scale with AI. Well, what do I do? Who do I talk to? And I'll make a plug. You can talk to us. But who do I talk to about AI? How do I get started? And that's the barrier to entry right now. So, and that's what gets people dabbling when they realize I should probably go this way, but there's also uncertainty, confusion, all those things go into it.
So take the step.
Yeah.
Take the step.
Take a step.
And this episode has been brought to you by Summit Media Solutions, your AI partner for your small business.
That voice was so smooth. Zach.
Yeah.
No, but serious. We're having these conversations at scale. So much more of our conversations are talking about AI, coaching businesses through AI, building systems and understanding for how they should be using it. I mean, the amount of conversations that we're having with people on how to use ChatGPT, how to write a prompt at its simplest form is mind blowing. I mean, Todd mentioned using a browser for the first time. That was a skill set of like, how do you type the right prompt into the browser to get it to take you to the correct place? I mean, there's been a learning curve that we've been adopting in that simple form. It's the same thing. If you want to get your outcomes for ChatGPT to be improved, we can help you with that in its simplest form. We can also help you do some pretty complicated automations of leveraging AI to save you hours of time in your business. And all you have to do is give us a call. We're happy to walk through those things with you and make those things happen. We've got social AI solutions. We've got website AI solutions. We've got phone receptionist solutions, reviews, listings. I mean, pretty much end-to-end marketing AI solutions that takes care of everything for you and generates you revenue. It's pretty crazy right now. So that's the ad read for the day.
All right. My AI is reminding me that I need to get to the airport, heading down to Dallas to hang out with a bunch of roofers who we can serve and help out with, and excited to spend some time with them at the Win the Storm conference. So although this Podcast will be released after. Hopefully, I run into you if you're one of our listeners at Win the Storm.
Right.
It's awesome. Better catch that flight. This has been another episode of the High Ground podcast with the trifecta, Todd Hageman, the wise one of the group, looking very proper with his glasses and his button up. He did not wear his hat this week. And Joe just catching flights all over the place. Joe Flammer, bringing the hammer. Great topics, great insight, leading our sales team, wealth of knowledge. Go kill it at Win the Storm. And myself, Zach, the youngest, the most handsome, the most agile, all the things that you guys already know. Thanks for joining us.